Video is about coastal dunes, and our lesson goal is to learn what dunes are, and body in the lesson want you to be able to explain what a dune is, explain where they are located, explain how they form, and why they're so important to humans as well as the natural environment. Well, what are coastal sand dunes? They're basically large accumulations of sand that are located behind the active beach zone. When we look at a beach, the active beach zone is basically the area where that gets covered by the water. It's different between high and low tides as well as in times of storms. Dunes form in two ways. When sand is deposited on the shore by wave action, the sand dries out and is blown to the back of the beach, and that's called accretion. On coasts where there is relatively little wave action and large tidal ranges, and now we all know what a tidal range is, obviously going to Lady Any Island is the distance between high and low tide, we have tidal flats exposed. So basically what would that look like? Instead of on Lady Any Island where when the tide went out we could see coral, that would just be sand. So when we flew over Harvey Bay and the tide was out, we could actually see sand flats. Again, once the tide is out, the sand is then exposed to wind, and the wind blows to the back of the beach zone and then forms into sand dunes. We all know what sand dunes are. We go down to Shelly Beach, we like running up them. So basically, there are just large accumulations of sand. Where are sand dunes formed? Well, they're located around the world, with the exception of Antarctica. Dunes get their sand from rivers reaching the sea or from headlands being eroded. Remember, sediment is moved all the way around the world, and wind and water are just two of their agents. Wind is an important factor in the location of the dunes, and develops in coastal regions that experience strong onshore prevailing winds. Onshore means that wind comes from the sea onto the shore, and prevailing means that it generally happens along periods of time over the year. Most dune systems are found in the world's temperate and arid tropical climate zones. We need that drying, hence why they're not all found in every single continent. The dune system is dependent on local topography, the direction and power of prevailing winds, and actual material available. If those three things don't happen, then we don't have big sand dunes, and as a result we get smaller ones. So if you want to look on the central coast, look at the differences between Shelly Beach and then on Bateau Bay Beach. The sand dunes at Bateau Bay Beach aren't as established as Shelly Beach, and that's because of the amount of material available. There's more at Shelly Beach because it's a bigger bay than at Bateau Bay. What biophysical processes form dunes? Well, we've got two main ones. We've got atmospheric, which is about wind, and that moves particles. That's called alonium transport, and the diagram here shows all the different ways in which wind moves sand onto the sand dunes. Temperature determines the rate in which sand dries, and also ocean currents. That's really important. A sand dune can't form unless the sand is dried out. And then precipitation. More rain means greater amounts of vegetation. If we look at a sand dune, there is more vegetation towards the back of the dune system. Why is that important? Well, the plants obviously have roots, and they burrow down into the sand dune to obviously live, and as they do that, they combine all of the sand together. So they're very, very important. Plants living on sand dunes are salt resistant and salt tolerant. They still need water, and that comes in the form of rain. So we need those three things as part of the atmosphere. Hydrological biophysical interaction is also important because it transports the sand to places around the world. And also the waves. Waves are basically shape coasts. If we don't have those waves that help promote and grow sand dunes, then we don't have sand dunes, full stop. Also the composition of sand. This is a picture of sand underneath the microscope, and you can see quite clearly that sand isn't one single object, it's lots of different parts of stone, coral, even old bits of fish, bone, made up. Its chemical and mineral composition varies greatly from place to place as it's derived from different locations. So sand eventually will become lithified, which means turned into rock. Hence we've got rock that's called sandstone, and we see that down on our beaches, particularly on the central coast, and it's that layered rock, and it feels like sandpaper. So the composition of sand is really important. The finer the sand, the quicker it is to dry, the more chance of a sand dune. Whereas we have pebbly beaches, we don't have sand dunes because sand hasn't been produced from those sand pebbles that have been worn down. So composition of sand is really, really important. Some stones, some rocks are easier to erode than others. Okay, so that video explains what sand dunes are. They're important to humans because we normally build the other side of sand dunes, and in some cases we build on top of sand dunes. They're important for the environment because animals live there, and also vegetation, and and they change the landscapes and landforms of our coastlines. Okay, I hope that helps, and enjoy the video. Thanks. Bye.